And I think all of you should know that Congressman Valvo has not only been a champion for immigration rights, Latino rights. He, along with Congressman Keith Ellison, are the co-chairs of the House Progressive Caucus, one of the largest caucuses. And they have done a fantastic job in standing up for working families from one end of this country to the other. Raul, thank you so much for your support. We began this campaign 9 months ago, and we were taking on a candidate who was indisputably the anointed candidate of the establishment. As a matter of fact, the campaign was already over. Why run? The establishment had determined who the Democratic nominee would be. But then a funny thing happened. And the people became involved in the campaign. Not just the chattering classes on TV, not just all of the pundits, not just all the campaign donors, but people became involved. So in Iowa, we started off 40, 50 points behind. We ended up on Election Day, caucus day there, in a virtual tie. In New Hampshire, we started 30 points down. We ended up winning. And now we are here in Nevada. And everything in my political gut tells me that we have the momentum here in this state. And if people come out in large numbers on caucus day, we're going to win here in Nevada. And if we can win here in Nevada, we send a profound message to the entire country. And that message is that the people of this country will no longer accept establishment politics, establishment economics. That the people of our country are saying loudly and clearly that millions of us have got to stand up, come together, and make it clear that the government of the United States of America has got to represent all of us, not just the big campaign donors. Let me begin by telling you something which is a harsh truth, and a truth that other candidates will not tell you. And that is that no president of the United States, not Bernie Sanders or anyone else, can do it alone. And why is that? Is that just rhetoric? It's not just rhetoric. The reason is today that the people who control our economy, the people who control our political life, are so powerful that there is no way we can do what has to be done for the working families of this country unless millions of people come together and demand. We need your help to win the Nevada caucus. We need your help to win the Democratic nomination. We need your help to win the general election. But I will need your help the day after the election. Together, what we are going to say to Wall Street and to corporate America and to the corporate media and to the big campaign donors is that this country doesn't belong to them. It belongs to all of us. And when we talk about all of us, every person in this room knows how real change takes place, and every person in this room knows how the opponents of real change function. Real change takes place always from the bottom on up, not from the top on down. Real change takes place in blacks, whites, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, gay and straight, men and women, old and young. When we stand together. Now, our opponents, those who own this country, they know that truth as well. And that is why they constantly try to divide us. That's been the history of America, trying to divide us. White worker against black worker, males against females, straights against gays, people born in this country against people who came into this country, immigrated into this country. That's what the Donald Trumps are about. They want us to think that the solution to our problems is to hate Mexicans, tell Muslims that they cannot come into this country. That's not going to solve the problems of this country. That's going to make the problems worse. Scapegoating is what demagoguery has always been about. Trying to get one group of people to hate another group of people. We are not going to fall for that. The American people are not going to fall for that because the American people know, and the people of Nevada perhaps better than any other people. You have lived through the greed and illegal behavior of Wall Street. No state in the country has suffered more from the greed and illegal behavior of Wall Street. So what this campaign is about is throwing the major issues facing this country right out on the table, having the courage to address them. And at the top of my list is the issue of wealth and income inequality. This country will not survive morally, it will not survive economically when so few have so much and so many have so little. We have more income and wealth inequality than virtually any major country on earth. It is worse today than any time in America since 1928. America is not about having the top 1/10 of 1% owning almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. wealthiest people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom 150 million, half of American society. America is not about one family, the Walton family. You are familiar with the Walton family. One family owns more wealth than the bottom 40%. Let me say something else. When I talk about a rigged economy, I'll tell you one of the things, not many, that we talk about. Walton family, wealthiest family in America. And yet, it turns out that despite all of my Republican friends talking about welfare abuse and welfare cheats, you know who the major welfare recipient in America is? It's a smart group of people. I can see it now. We're going to win here in the back. It's a smart group of people. The wealthiest family in America paying its employees wages that are so low that many of those workers are on Medicaid, food stamps, and subsidized housing. You pay taxes in order to provide Medicaid, food stamps, and subsidized housing to the Walton family's employees. Now that's pretty crazy. The middle class should not be subsidizing the wealthiest family in America. So I say to the Walton family, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. When we talk about why in my state of Vermont here in Nevada, you've got people working 2 or 3 jobs. You've got people who are working full-time who go to emergency food shelves because they don't earn enough money to provide for their families. It is clear to me that when mom is out working and dad's out working and the kids are out working, wages in America are too damn low. It is not a radical socialist idea to say that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty. That's an American idea. That is why we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And I know that every man in this room will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity for women workers. Not acceptable when women are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. That's old-fashioned sexism. We're going to change that. When we talk about creating the kind of America that our people deserve, we all understand that while official unemployment may be 5%, real unemployment is double that, and youth unemployment is off the charts. A while back, I asked some economists in D.C., tell me what real youth unemployment in America is. This is what they said. For white kids who graduated high school between 17 and 20, 33%. Latino kids, 36%. African American kids, 51%. This is not the way we should be treating millions of young people in this country. nation's tragically high rate of youth unemployment and another tragedy, a terrible tragedy. And that is that in our country, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. Largely African American and Latino. So you guys ready for a radical idea? Okay. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to invest in jobs and education for our kids, not jails and incarceration. This country to have the best educated people in the world, not the country with 2.2 million people in jail. And when we talk about the needs of our people, about bringing people together, every person in this room knows that it's unconscionable that we have 11 million undocumented people in this country who are living in the shadows. People who are afraid tomorrow that they could be deported, that their families could be separated. Together, we are going to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Together, we are going to unite families, not divide families. And if Congress does not do its job, I, as president, will use the executive powers of the president. I want to say a word about criminal justice in this country. And I want to tell you a story which I think epitomizes so many things that are wrong. A couple of weeks ago, one of the largest financial institutions in this country, Wall Street firm called Goldman Sachs. Jeez, this is smart. What are you saying? I sell everything. What am I doing up here? We're in this together. That's right. Reaches a settlement with the United States government for $5 billion. $5 billion. Okay. Now, obviously, the reason they reached this agreement is because they were guilty of selling worthless packages of subprime mortgage loans, a process which was devastating to the people of the Valley. That's point number one. All right, $5 billion settled. Number two, when we talk about political power, understand that this same company, Goldman Sachs, has given the United States government in recent years 2 secretaries of the Treasury and many other high-ranking government officials. See, a company based on fraud through a revolving door, putting high-level members of government in power. Number three, Goldman Sachs, like other Wall Street firms, solidifies its political power by making huge campaign contributions and, by the way, speakers' fees. But here is the major point, and here is why so many people are thoroughly frustrated and angry with what goes on in Washington. picked up with marijuana, that kid will have a police record for the rest of his life. It will make it harder for him to get a job. But if you are an executive on Wall Street, and if your illegal behavior causes suffering for millions of people, people lost their jobs, their homes, their life savings because of your illegal behavior, you know what happens to you? No, you get an increase in your compensation package. So we are going to bring justice to the criminal justice system. That means, yes, even if you're rich, and even if you're powerful, and even if you're a Wall Street executive, if you break the law, you pay the price. But when we talk about criminal justice, we've got to go beyond that. We have got to make sure that when police officers break the law, those officers are held accountable. We have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make sure that police departments look like the diversity of the communities they serve. Over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possession of marijuana. Today, the Federal Controlled Substance Act lists marijuana as a Schedule I drug next to heroin. I believe and have introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. States have the power, and some are going forward to legalize marijuana, some are not. That's a state decision. But the federal government should not be making possession of marijuana a federal right. When we talk about criminal justice, it is absolutely imperative that we develop a pathway out of prison back to civil society for those people who pay for time. People who leave prison should have job training and education so they don't return to the same damn environment which got them in jail in the first place. When we talk about our needs as a people, there is one issue which impacts every other issue, and that is a corrupt campaign finance system allowing billionaires to buy elections. All right, I like that. That sounds good to me. What this campaign is about is exactly what these wonderful singers have said. We don't need a superpower. We don't want a superpower. We are not beholden to Wall Street or the billionaire class. They can keep their money. We don't need it. candidate out there runs to the wealthy and the powerful, they say, please make out a check for $1 million, or maybe $5 million, or maybe $10 million. And what you're seeing is a handful of families putting in a huge percentage. We have chosen to go in another direction, a non-huge approach. Very much a non-huge approach. So what we have done is asked the American people, we said, look, if you want to be part of a campaign which is designed to transform America, we need your, we know you don't have a lot of money. Can you kick in $10 or $30 or whatever it is? And you know what happened? This gives me so much hope, and it should give all of you hope. What has happened over the last 9 months is unbelievable, unprecedented in American history. We have received 3.7 million individual contributions. And this is a very smart audience. I know you know the answer. Our average contribution is, oh my God, $27. From 1.3 billion people, and the pundits cannot believe it. We are transforming American campaign finance. We are showing the world you can run a winning campaign without being dependent on Wall Street or big money. We have got to get rid of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. When you have the Koch brothers and a handful of billionaires spending $900 million in this campaign cycle, more money than either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party are spending, that is not democracy, that is oligarchy, and we're going to stop it. People say what this campaign is involved in, my opponents say, Bernie thinks too big. His ideas are too expansive. We got to think little, not big. I'll tell you something. In the last 30 years, there has been a massive transfer of wealth in this country from the middle class to the top 1/10 of 1%. Trillions of dollars went from working families to the top 1/10 of 1%, who saw a doubling of the percentage of wealth they own. And when all of that was happening, I didn't hear people standing up, this is too big. This is too extraordinary. We got to stop it. But when you stand up for working families and you say, you know what? We want wealth back to the middle class. Oh, what a terrible idea. So let me be very clear. When we talk about the needs of America, it is clear we need the best educated workforce in the world. Very brave people 100 years ago, 150 years ago, fought for free public education. And what they said, pretty radical, they said, you know what? I want our kids, we're working class people, our kids deserve the right to an education, not just the government. But for 150 years, what we talked about was first grade through 12th grade. That was fine. But today, in many ways, a college degree is the equivalent of what a high school degree was 50 years ago. So when we talk about public education, it must be free tuition at public colleges and universities. My dad came to this country at the age of 17 from Poland, dropping out of high school, never had much education, or never graduated high school. There are kids all over this country whose parents did not go to college, who have no belief that they will ever make it to college. Our job together is to say to every kid in this country, if you study hard, if you take schoolwork seriously, regardless of the income of your family, you will get a college education. And there's another issue, a related issue we've got to deal with, and that is the absurdity that millions of people today are being crushed by oppressive student debt. Anybody here with student debt? How much? This young lady over here is up for college and graduate school. Went to graduate school, came out with $100,000 in debt. How much? Graduate school? Med school. Graduate school. $200,000. You know, one of the things that this campaign is trying to do is to go beyond, to think beyond the status quo. What we are hearing today, $200,000 for the crime of what? Getting an education, not your mind? And you're going to be saddled with that debt for decades, yes? That is insane. And we've got to recognize that. People in America should not be punished for getting an education. They should be applauded. That's what we want. I mean, this situation is so insane. I was here about a month or so ago. Talked to a guy, maybe he's in the audience, I don't know. Guy's about 55 years of age. He has been paying off his student debt for 25 years. He is more in debt today than he was 25 years ago. And he is worried, legitimately worried, that when he gets Social Security, they're going to garnish his check to pay his student debt. That is why, for a start, what our legislation does is allow people with student debt to refinance at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, my opponents say this is a radical idea. It's an expensive idea. Well, you know, war in Iraq was pretty damn expensive. A war, by the way, that one of the candidates voted against and one voted for. tax breaks for billionaires are pretty expensive. How are we going to pay for this proposal to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and to lower student debt? I'll tell you how. We're going to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. After Wall Street destroyed the economy, they came begging the Congress, bail us out, bail us out. Well, now, you know what? Now it's Wall Street's time to bail out and help the middle class in this country. I've got 4 kids and I've got 7 beautiful grandchildren. And I see us, all of us, for our kids and our grandchildren, and for future generations, having the moral responsibility to make sure certain that the planet we leave future generations is healthy and happy. I have talked to scientists all over the world. The debate is over. Climate change is real. Climate change is causing devastating problems. And here's what the scientists tell us. What they tell us is we have a small window of opportunity to boldly transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. It is beyond my comprehension what your Public Utility Commission did here in the state of Illinois. We should be expanding solar, not contracting. If we invest in solar, in wind, in geothermal, other technologies, we can lead the world in combating climate change and create millions of decent wage jobs. I want to connect some dots here. When you hear Republican candidates refusing to acknowledge the reality of climate change, let alone do anything about it, understand this. This is not that they don't know what's going on. It's not that they have not read the literature. It is because of one reason. And that is that any Republican candidate gets up here and tells you the truth about climate change. On that day, he loses his campaign funding from the Koch brothers and from the fossil fuel industry. That's pathetic. I say to the Republican colleagues, maybe to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, we know that Donald Trump is the greatest everything in the world. There is nothing that this man is not the greatest at, which includes, of course, science. I mean, as a pastime, he is a world-renowned scientist. And one of his major scientific contributions in recent years has been to proclaim that climate change is a hoax. Now, for Republican candidates, that is not an unusual idea. But he added something to it, being the brilliant scientist, and he said that this hoax was created by the Chinese. And that really shocked me, because I thought he would have thought it was created by the Mexicans or the Muslims. The Chinese, well, what can you do? But, bottom line here, we are fighting for the future of our planet, and we're going to win that fight because we love our kids and our grandchildren. can somehow guarantee health care to all of their people, why not us? Maybe some people think we Americans are too dumb. Or maybe we're too cowardly or we're not prepared to stand up to the drug companies and the insurance companies. I don't think so. I think that the American people understand. And yes, and I'm proud of this, we have made real progress with the Affordable Care Act. I helped write that bill. And we have done away with this obscenity called pre-existing conditions. 17 million more Americans now have health insurance. We have ended discrimination against women who are being charged more for being women. Well, but here's the fact. Today, despite getting some ACA, 29 million Americans have zero health insurance. Many of you, and tens of millions of other Americans, are underinsured with high deductibles and high copays. Is that right? And further, as a nation, we are being ripped off beyond belief by the drug companies who charge us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And on top of all of that, it turns out that we are spending almost three times more than the British who guarantee health care to all their people, 50% more than the French, far more than the Canadians, all of them guarantee health care to all of their people. So my critics have said, Bernie is too ambitious. Well, let me repeat it right now. Yes, I do believe that health care is a right, not a privilege. That is why I believe we have got to move toward a Medicare for all single-payer program. Brothers and sisters, we are at a pivotal moment in American history. Over the last many decades, we have made some real progress against discrimination in many of its forms, discrimination against African Americans, discrimination against Latinos, discrimination against women, discrimination against gays, discrimination against people with disabilities. We have made progress, and we should be proud of that progress. But it is clear to me that in one area, not only have we not made progress, we are losing ground, and that is the economic struggle. There is no reason why in our great country we are the only major nation not to guarantee health care to all people. There is no reason why we are the only major country not to have paid family and medical leave. There is no reason why we have, by far, the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. There is no reason why we have more people in jail than any other country. There is no reason why millions of our fellow Americans are trying to survive on $9 or $10 an hour. There is no reason why seniors are trying to make it on $11,000, $12,000 Social Security when nobody can survive on that. There is no reason why working moms can't find affordable child care for their babies. There is no reason why we give tax breaks to billionaires and cut nutrition programs for children. There is no reason why we have massive levels of income and wealth inequality. So what this campaign is about is simply stating enough is enough. Together,